If this fly doesn't fuck the fuck off, I swear to God. Hey guys, today I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a different video to my normal videos, and I wanted to share about a personal experience of mine. As you can tell from the title, I kind of wanted to open up a little bit and share my thoughts and feelings about something that happened to me, and I kind of just wanted to share my own lessons that I've learned from my experience, and hopefully somebody out there can learn from my mistakes in the past. I've been watching a bunch of story times from a channel called Heyparis, and I'll link her channel in the description. She has a lot of really entertaining she's way better at telling stories than I am. You guys should really subscribe to her if you like story time. She's super funny and interesting in the way that she tells stories. For my story today, I want to give a kind of a background first on the situation. So basically what had happened was I had this crush on this guy at my work during college. I worked at a retail job in a clothing store, and he had actually helped me get that job because he had recommended me, even though he didn't even know me. So I got that job, and we were working together for about a year or so. I want to give this guy a name because I don't want to keep saying the guy or this guy. Let's call him Pittsburgh because that's where he's from. He's Jamaican, but he's from Pittsburgh. So I had a crush on Pittsburgh ever since I first saw him. I thought he was very cool at the time. He dressed really cool. I liked that he was American. He was a rapper. I think I just had very bad taste at that time. He was pretty much a player, but I wanted to date him. I thought that he was interested in me. He would flirt with me, but then flirt with other girls, and I wouldn't see that. So at this point, I was in college and I was 20 years old. I had only had my first kiss when I was 19, and I had done other things with guys, just never had sex before. And I wanted it to be like other girls. I wanted it to be special. I wanted to be with somebody that I loved and that cared about me and that I cared about. But I had never been in a relationship before. I wasn't meeting the right guy. I guess I just had poor taste. Guys didn't really like me, so I had my eyes set on Pittsburgh. I would try to dress nice and like look presentable when I came into work because I knew that he'd be there. And then I think eventually we exchanged numbers, and he said he wanted to hang out with me outside of work. He never invited me out on a date, to go out, take me to dinner, or even to his place, nothing like that. I don't remember who asked, but he ended up coming over to my place. Mind you, this guy was quite a bit older. I think he was like 5 or 6 years older than me. And at this point, I'm still really shy and awkward around guys because I hadn't really gone on dates like that before. So I didn't really know how to act. I didn't know how to really talk to guys in person. I can text the guy all day long. It's just when it comes to face-to-face interaction, I have social anxiety, and I still have that pretty badly till this day. I get very nervous and anxious that I'm going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and then the person is just going to run away and never talk to me again. And at that time, I had kind of started getting used to guys talking to me to ask for nudes, to try to do sexual things, not really to get to know me as a person. So my self-esteem was not great. I already had trust issues because of issues with my family. I guess I was just kind of hoping that I would meet a guy that cared about me and wanted to get to know me just for me as a person, not because of my physical appearance. Pittsburgh was not that guy. So he came over. I really don't remember much of what happened. I think we sat on the couch and talked for a while until he wanted to move to my bed. He asked to go sit on my bed. I'm gonna try to be as PG as possible because I want younger people to learn from my experiences and watch this video. I don't want to give an explicit play-by-play, obviously, but basically I blocked out a lot of that, what happened. I just remember it was very painful. He was not the smallest size. So it was painful. I was telling him that it hurt. It was not enjoyable or comfortable. He just kept going and telling me to, eventually he just told me to, shut up and stop complaining. He just kept going until he got his, and then it was done. And then he pretty much had like a 5-minute conversation and then he left. And he knew it was my first time, obviously. And he didn't do anything to kind of like prep me for it or kind of ease me into it. So after it happened, I'm there like, in my mind, I don't know anything much about sex. I just know from what I'd seen online and in movies. And so I'm like texting with a friend or somebody that I talked to online and said, I just had sex for the first time. And they were like, well, who was it with? And they were asking me questions, and they were like, you should probably get tested for STD since you're not dating this person. And that's a really good idea. So in my head, I'm thinking like, just, do I talk to him about this? Like, is this something that I ask him about? And so I texted him after he left and I said, should I go get tested for STDs? In my head, I'm not really even sure what STDs are or like how they're spread or how often they get spread, because I never had to deal with it before. And in my head, I'm thinking he's going to be understanding and like, oh yeah, you should get tested, or like, no, I don't think you need to. But he got mad at me and basically was like, how dare you accuse me of having STDs, which I never said. Like, that's a fucked up thing to say or to ask me, just making me out to be some horrible person for asking a simple question. So I felt like shit after that. Like, I'm such a bad person. I ruined, you know, a potential relationship with Pittsburgh, because now he hates me because I asked him a question that I wasn't sure about. I was a super paranoid person back then, and I still am. And all I cared about was what other people thought of me, and if they like me or not, or what can I do to make this person like me, or if I think I messed up a word or something in a conversation, I'll think about it for like the next week and I won't forgive myself for it. I'm getting better at that now, but it was really bad back then, and I was punishing myself for basically, I guess, scaring him away by asking him that question. And I didn't really have anybody to talk to about the experience, about how I felt. And I guess it's been bottled up for, God, like almost 10 years now. It's 2020. I think I lost it in like 2012 or something. And so I kind of wanted to make this video partially because of that, because I still have kind of sadness and disappointment about what had happened. And I would always think that it's my fault if anything went wrong, or I would be thinking about, did the other person enjoy themselves? Even though I did not enjoy myself whatsoever, I would always be worried, like, did they enjoy themselves? Like, are they going to talk to me again? Are they going to want to hang out again? Do they still like me? And that was all that I would ever think about. With my partners after that, you know, for however many years, I would say the next 6 years, I would have that continuous experience with multiple men, always seeking approval from them, wanting them to like me, wanting their attention, wanting their love and affection, and always thinking that the way to get that was through sexual favors. I was always afraid that just my time and hanging out with me just as a friend was never good enough, because whenever guys would hang out with me, they would try to do sexual things and I would let them, because I thought if I didn't, or if I said stop, that they would just leave and I would just be alone and not have anybody, because that's how it was in high school. I was a loner. No guys ever talked to me, paid me any attention. My self-esteem pretty much was non-existent for a lot of my life, especially at that time. It was the worst that it's ever been, because I felt like I was nothing. I felt like I was worthless, and it took me so long to even see that. I felt like just me as a human being wasn't good enough for anybody. And when guys would ask me to hang out, it would usually be, come over to my place, or they would hit me up at 2 a.m. or, you know, obviously not looking to hang out as friends or to start dating me, to the point where I didn't understand the concept of sex being pleasurable. In my head, I related sex to pain because it always hurt me. It was always uncomfortable. I never enjoyed it or had an orgasm from it. To the point where one day I asked a nurse, because I was getting tested regularly for STDs. I asked the nurse one day if it was normal that I didn't enjoy sex, because I had, you know, obviously heard from other people it was enjoyable. But I was wondering, what is wrong with me that I'm not enjoying it? What is wrong with me? And what she told me was that I had gotten raped, which to me was a shock because I didn't really think about my experiences in that way, because I was attracted to them, or at least somewhat on some level attracted to them, and I had willingly gone out to hang out with them and say I wanted to kiss them, but like not anything more. But I didn't know how to say, okay, that's enough, because I knew that the guy wouldn't be happy with that. I knew that he would have blue balls, he would be frustrated, he would be mad at me, and he'd either leave and not ever talk to me again, or just not want to hang out again after that. Because things like that had happened before. Even with Pittsburgh, I found out later on, after I had lost my virginity to him, that he had a girlfriend at the time. He was dating somebody, and he never told me that. But I was still attracted to him and I wanted to hang out with him. So I invited him over one night because I wanted some company and I wanted to see him. So I invited him over to watch the basketball game. I was watching a basketball game at the time. He came over, sat down on the couch, and was like, so what are we gonna do? I'm like, we're gonna watch the basketball game. Like, that's what I invited you over to do. And he's like, I can watch the basketball game at home with my dad. Like, why would you make me come all the way here to do that? Like, are we gonna have sex or not? Or like, are you gonna give me something or not? That made me feel so worthless. Like, it kind of solidified in my mind that that's all I'm worth, is just sex or a blowjob. For so many years, that's how I felt. I was just there to please the guy, and I would never get pleasure. I would never get a boyfriend or somebody to think that I'm worth their time. And I'm still, at 28 years old, trying to teach myself that I'm worth more than that. Even if that means that I'm lonely and not hanging out with anybody or talking to anybody for however many more years. Going back to what I said about the nurse saying I had been raped, other people have disagreed with the nurse saying that I wasn't raped. I guess it's subjective. People find that word sensitive, and obviously I'm sensitive to that word as well, but I had always thought rape was a stranger in the back alley, you screaming for help. But according to that nurse, and you can have your own opinion on this if you want, is basically not consensual sex. And I don't know if that means verbally saying, stop, I don't like this, or what I did, which is pushing the guy, trying to push him off me, saying this hurts, like, this is uncomfortable. At one point with one guy, I was crying because it hurt so bad. I blocked a lot of it out. Like, most of my partners, I don't remember what happened. I just know I didn't like it and I didn't want it. Yes, I was attracted to them, or I honestly just wanted them to be around me, to hang out, to talk, or maybe I wanted to kiss for a while and then stop. But I never knew how to stop that. And I was always afraid to stop it because I was always afraid that they would leave, like other people had left, or other people stopped talking to me because I had said no to some people in the past and didn't hear from them again. I hope you guys aren't going to judge me on this, because I know a lot of people judge females about their sexual history, their orientation, the number of partners they've had, and I'm learning how to not have people's opinions of me run my life, but I'm not there completely, so it's hard to put my vulnerable experiences out there for people to call me a hoe, a slut, say that I'm easy, say that I deserved it or that I was asking for it, because I know there's people out there that are going to think that of me or say that in the comments, and I just want to be truthful and say what happened. I learned that it's just not worth it for me, letting people use me like that. I think a breaking point for me was I was in Toronto at the time, and a guy had given me a ride home. I don't even think I had met him in person yet. We were just talking off Tinder. He gave me a ride from the subway station to my house, which was like a 10-minute ride, and I felt like I owed him sex because we had been hanging out. He had been giving me attention and talking to me, which I considered something that I value and something that I appreciated and enjoyed to have. So I felt like in return I owed him sex, because for him, in my head, for him hanging out with me, talking to me, just being a nice person to me and giving me a lift home wouldn't ever be good enough for him. In my head, that was something that he was doing for me, so I needed now to do something for him to make that worthwhile for him, or else he would never talk to me again. And that was a turning point, because I felt like how low do I think of myself? Like that's what being with me is worth, is a 10-minute drive. So I told myself I'm just not gonna do it anymore, because what am I getting out of this? What am I doing this for? At least my self-esteem, I can say, and my dignity is starting to build back up after so many years of just being completely gone. And I'm starting to teach myself how to value myself and love myself, even if other people don't. And part of the reason why I'm making this video is if there's any younger people watching, or however old somebody may be, if they had maybe went through something similar that I did and thought that they were the only ones, because I feel like I'm the only one that has had this experience. I want to normalize, if you want to wait until your 20s, your 30s, whenever you want to wait, you should wait. You shouldn't feel this pressure to get it over with or just do it because other people are doing it. Speaking to people that are in, say, a similar situation as me, where they may not have the best self-esteem, they may have never had a relationship before, they may feel like they're being used for things that they don't want to do, it's not worth it. It's really not. It took me so long and so many times of making the same mistake over and over again that I wish I could go back and learn it immediately and not have to go through those experiences that I went through, because I wouldn't wish that on somebody else. You should only do things that you feel comfortable doing, that you want to do, that you give full consent for. And if you're not enjoying yourself, or you were enjoying yourself up to a certain point and then you stopped, or you want to stop after a certain point, there's nothing wrong with that. And if the other person is an asshole and they get up and leave and they never talk to you again, screw them. They're not even a person that's worth your time in the first place. To just spend your time doing things that you find worthwhile until you find the right person. And even if that's in your 30s or 40s, trust me, it's better to wait. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well. Subscribe, like the video, and see you in the next video.